All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, I had to go and get some reinforcements tonight. So, welcome to our podcast. Let me introduce to you the actual surprise host of the podcast, Mr. Goodson, two belts, holds one of our titles in our wrestling promotion. Goodson, Mr. Andrew Michelson, along with Principal Tap. I'm the Heartbreaker. And, I'd just like to get right into our guest, the real American hero, Johnny Faith. Thank you for coming, sir. And the other guy up on the top, let's not listen to him because he's just got an ego full of himself. And, he sounds like paint drying a lot of the time.
That's the truth.
I'll introduce him anyway. He's the crippled Messiah, but I just call him Mr. I Have a Huge Ego. Thank you for joining us tonight, Mr. Huge Ego. Would you like to start us off?
Sure.
You got to think about that. We're already in trouble. I saw the smoke coming out and everything. We're already in trouble.
Thank you for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it.
Yep, I appreciate the opportunity. Definitely. I do. I appreciate it.
It's always a fun time.
So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. So I am the American hero, Johnny Faith. I was born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina. I joined the military, saw the world, did some things, got out of the military in 2015, kind of had like a lot of downtime, I guess. I had just left the military. I didn't really have much going on. Decided to try the college route. I'm still in college as we speak, but it doesn't really appease to me as much as professional wrestling does, obviously. Obviously, we'll get into that more in a little while. I'll talk about, my family and how it connects to wrestling. But anyways, so found some wrestling, some local indie wrestling where I retired out in Kansas. And, the footsteps in the path was started right then and there. And I became a pro wrestler. Had a bit of a life-threatening thing happen at the beginning of March. Had a massive heart attack. So I'm kind of on the shelf right now. We'll obviously talk about that as well. But, I'm happy to be here and happy to tell it all, I guess, as I would say.
I know all too well about heart issues. So kind of heart attacks are not fun.
Mm-mm.
No, I myself was born with my heart on the wrong side. So that's why I was like, I definitely know where you're going with the heart thing. So yeah, definitely glad to hear you're okay.
Definitely. It was a thing that was out of left field, kind of just one of those freak things that kind of happened.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Chalked it up to genetics and hereditary, heart issues, I guess, is what I was told. But, I'll talk about it. We'll get into that definitely for sure.
I should have just blamed the military. You could have sued them for a lot of money. With all the MRTs I was eating. Or MREs. What did I say? MRT.
All right, Ego, go ahead and start off with the questions.
So you brought it up a little bit in your intro, but how did you get started in wrestling?
So I got out of the military 2015. I got out of the Army 2015. Retired out. I really kind of just professional wrestling has been in my family my entire life. My grandfather was a professional wrestler, so I learned at a very young age what professional wrestling was. So it was always a dream of mine to become a professional wrestler, obviously. But, 9/11 happened, so I decided to do the military thing, and I was just doing it for college, try to make find better opportunities for myself because I was heading down the wrong path there for a minute in my late teenage years. So, I decided to do the military route for college, wound up staying in a lot longer than I expected. Finally retired out in 2015. Really had nothing going on. I was kind of bored. I decided to try college. That wasn't really appeasing to me. Found out that there was a professional wrestling company about an hour west of where I lived and, went and checked out a show. Obviously didn't know any stories, nothing like that. Just went as a professional wrestling fan. wound up becoming very hooked. Started going to shows every month, at their company that they would put on, bringing signs, raising hell, cheering, booing. Finally, I got up some courage to message the page and was like, hey, do you guys need any help? Like, do y'all need any help setting up, tearing down? What can I do to help? I want to help. And the owner of the company, Billy Simmons, at the time was like, hey, I'm about to reopen my wrestling school. Are you interested in becoming a wrestler? And at the time, I'm post-military, I have nothing to do, pretty much. I was all in. I was like, yep. Went for a tryout. Me and two women started when he reopened his training school out there in Salina, Kansas. And, that was all she wrote from there. The dream was on from there.
Very cool. All right, good son. What do you got as far as the question goes?
Oh, you got to go straight to me? What the hell? So, you talked about how you got into it and stuff. What has been the hardest part about being a wrestler? Because I think it's different for everyone. So I always like to see, being a wrestler myself, what has been your hardest struggle?
My hardest struggle is just trying to balance everything. See, when I'm booked for a show, I am all in on that show, no matter where it's at, no matter who it's for. I cut promos, I share the show flyer, I promote as much as I can, and that takes up a lot of time.
Oh, it does, yeah.
It takes up a lot of time to promote a show, just being a regular wrestler. It takes a lot away from my family. I am a new family man, I guess you could say. My fiance has 2 children, so
Okay.
I pretty much became a dad overnight. So it was like one of those things that I had to learn, kind of on the fly. And at the same time, my wrestling career started taking off. I started wrestling every weekend. We were traveling every weekend, so it kind of took a toll on the family side. Mm-hmm. So I think one of the hardest things for me, and up until my heart attack, I had just figured it out. It was trying to find that balance between my family life and my wrestling life, and try to figure out a way to balance both of them. Because for a minute there, my wrestling life kind of spilled over into my family life, and it didn't really affect things as much, but it put a strain on my family because, like I said, we were traveling every weekend.
Yeah.
So finding that balance has been the biggest struggle for me. But up until that heart attack, I had started trying to figure it out just a little bit, but it's still a work in progress, obviously.
No, for sure. I get what you mean. Yeah, it is a balancing act, especially like you said, just promoting everything that can take up a toll just in a day. It can sometimes can take 3 hours out of your day because you're cutting the promo, you're editing it, you're doing everything. So no, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, it's definitely balancing everything. That's probably been one of my hardest too. So yeah, I definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think as more experience I get, matter of fact, 2 days on the 27th, I'll be 5 years. It'll be 5 years since my very first wrestling match. So, even now, 5 years later, I still look at it as, it's still something that I need to work on. Even though before I didn't have any kids, and obviously now I have children, that I have to take care of and that I'm responsible for. So it's something that I wasn't used to at the beginning. Obviously now I've gotten used to it. But,
no, for sure.
It's always a work in progress trying to balance both.
I mean, these 3 can tell you, I've been doing this for 12 years and you're still learning. My one thing I've always thought is once the minute you think you're perfect and you can't learn more is the minute you should stop, because the minute you don't think you can learn, then why are you doing this?
Exactly. There's always something to learn.
Whether it's being a wrestler, learning more moves or anything, or even learning the background behind things, like what the owners do go through and stuff, there's always something to learn.
Definitely. It even builds character too. It teaches you how to talk to people in respectful ways, be professional, things like that as well. So
for sure. What you got, Heartbreaker? Oh, you're gonna make Tap go first.
Yep, let's go to Tap.
You mentioned that your grandfather was a wrestler.
Yep.
How did you incorporate your style with his?
All right, so Yeah, I get asked this a lot, and it's hard because I've been trying for years and years and years, to track down a lot of his match footage. He wrestled in the Southeast Mid-Atlantic region from about the mid 1970s to the early 1980s. So I've only watched a total of about 3 of his matches, but I've also talked to a few people that that wrestled with him as well, and his style is straight bad guy heel. He was the Boston Bad Boy, so he was like really heelish, really just mean and ugly, and you know really hated the fans. Would let the fans know, talk trash, all that good stuff. Beat down the good guy, all that. We're complete opposites, So I mean, it's like I haven't really, because I'm a super good guy, so I haven't really incorporated a lot of his persona, I guess, into my style, but some of his moves definitely, like his finishing move was a Boston Crab. I'll do a Boston Crab spot, sometimes. I'll do a lot of his aggressive things that he used to do. He was really aggressive, so I think that's probably what I adapted from him the most was his aggressiveness, at least from what I gathered from people in the couple matches that I had seen or that I've seen so far. I'm always still trying to track down, more footage and more people that wrestled with him, to talk to him about his style and how he was.
That's quick.
So
Go ahead, Nate.
So, what was when you started training? What was like your first thought when you took like your first bump? Because a lot of people say their first thought is like, "What the hell did I get myself into?" type.
Well, I can definitely tell you I was very surprised on what it felt like. There's a lot of myths out there. And, growing up as a kid watching wrestling, you hear the stories, it's padded. There's a spring under there or, just something like that, and my grandpa told me from an early age, hey, that ring's no joke. Like you hit it and you're going to feel it. It's not padded. It's not, it'll beat you. I can tell you that right now. It'll beat you. It's not fun and games when you hit that thing. So for the first time I ever took a bump, it was very surprising. Didn't feel as I thought it would, but after a while, once you figure out how to get it down and to do it, it kind of goes away, I guess you could say this. But like I said, it was a surprise, definitely.
I'll agree with you there. Well, my first ring wasn't even a normal ring.
Ooh.
2x4 and plywood and tires.
I could imagine what that felt like.
Imagine getting hit by a car going 25 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Continuously.
Now, listening to those two there, Mr. Egotistical One, do you still want to get yourself in the ring?
Well, technically, to be fair, when and if this happens, I won't be getting in the ring, obviously. But yes, I would love to have a match.
Wait, is he supposed to be having help with that match too from a certain group?
Yes, I'm getting help from SMW.
Suck my wiener.
Thank you. Moving on. So, good son, do you have a question?
Yeah. Okay. So you said you've been doing this for 5 years.
In 2 days it'll be 5 years.
Yeah. What has been? I know this is kind of a loaded bullet sometimes for certain people. Who has been your favorite person you've wrestled, and who has been your least favorite person?
Loaded question.
That's definitely a loaded question. Like
I've got it asked to me too, so that's why I know what it's like.
So I've had some good feuds out in the Kansas region. I've wrestled a lot of good people out there. I had a lot of good feuds with. I had a good probably year and a half long feud with a guy named the Midwest Mafioso Joey Gambino, and
Okay.
Me and him, we beat the hell out of each other for about a year. So I would say that he was probably, that was my first real like storyline. Like they put us together for about a year, and we duked it out. We had some good matches. Ended in a boot camp match.
There you go.
I wound up winning a championship back. in a
Nice.
boot camp match. We did a military boot camp match as our one-off. So that was good.
Yeah.
I think we brought each other. So I'd say he's probably besides Drake Gallows. He's another guy out in the Oklahoma region. His name's Drake Gallows. He was another guy that really brought that I really enjoyed wrestling as well. And as far as who it's not, or second part to your question, who is my least favorite to wrestle? I really don't have a least favorite to wrestle, because even if my matches, even if the person that I didn't wrestle, I didn't like or whatever, I was still professional, still did the match.
Yeah.
But there's still always something I could learn about it, even if it was a crap match, whether it was a 5-star or whether it was a 0-star or a -star match. There was always something for me to learn about it. So I'm not really going to say or name anybody, that I really didn't have a, I'm not going to do that. So,
no, that's fair. No, like I said, I've had that question asked to me, and it's that your favorite person is always the easy part to answer, because it's like the second part, it's like you can't answer it without coming off as the biggest dick in the world.
I mean, there's plenty of matches that I am not necessarily like when I rewatch them, I'm just like, oh,
I know what you mean.
There's a lot of matches out there of me that are like that. Now that I watch them back, 2-3 years later, I'm just like, ugh, kind of hard to watch, and stuff like that. But as far as bad, as far as my worst, or my least favorite person I wrestled, it's just, if I can wrestle, man, I'm happy that,
No, that's fair. Yeah. There's really only one person for me that I will refuse to ever, and that's because he literally tried to kill me middle of the ring. So,
well, if you got something like that, then yeah, that's that's why when people ask me, I'm like, I won't say it ever live, but there is a story behind it. But like you said, I know what you mean, because there's definitely some matches that I watch back and I'm like, ooh. Now, I've wrestled a bunch of untrained guys before, guys that has minimal training. So some of those matches were kind of, and I was still trying to get my feet wet in the business, So, I was trying to do quantity over quality.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
And now that I've, gathered and, I've been around for, it's only been about 5 years, but, now it's all about quality, not quantity. So, now I just not necessarily pick and choose, but I at least try to make sure that if I'm going to have a match against somebody, that at least our stories will feed off of each other.
Yeah. Because you want it to make sense over anything.
Yeah. And I'm all about storytelling. So if it makes sense and we can tell a good story, then that's all I care about. If it's me versus a huge 8-foot dude, really for no reason, then it's kind of like, what's the point?
No, I get what you're saying exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, as long as it makes sense in the story, and I can tell a good story or at least attempt it, then I'm all for it.
No, yeah, I feel that exactly.
All right, Pat, what do you got?
All right, if you could pick a dream opponent from the 4 major promotions, who would it be and why?
Everyone, since somebody asked me this probably about, I don't know, it was a while back, and I said Cody Rhodes, and this was before AEW and all that. This was before Stardust, so this was way back when, Cody Rhodes. And I was a Cody Rhodes fan back then. I'm still a Cody Rhodes fan now, and if I could always ever have the opportunity to wrestle somebody, it would be Cody Rhodes, just because, one, his family, I guess. My grandfather always spoke very fondly of his dad, and the interactions that he had with him, throughout his career. He always spoke very fond of him, and the whole family. And plus, it's Cody Rhodes. I mean, why wouldn't you want to wrestle Cody Rhodes? I mean, he's kind of done it all.
So, you said you've been doing it about 5 years, but who's the biggest name you wrestled so far?
I was involved in a match with Eugene.
Very cool.
if y'all remember Eugene, I was actually I was involved with the storyline with Eugene there for about 3 or 4 months. Out in Kansas, the company I was wrestling for brought him in for a few months for a little storyline to run with one of the students that he had trained, and that was pretty good. I mean, I've shared cards with like Lodi and other guys like that, but as far as wrestling big names, not really. I haven't really got out there yet to wrestle the big names just yet, but I'm working on it. I'm getting there.
Eugene was kind of like one of the, obviously I liked Hulk Hogan and stuff when I was younger, but Eugene was kind of one of the ones that made me think I could do, be involved in wrestling because he played a disabled character. And
damn it, Tony! We have Eugene to blame for Nathan.
And I'm, in a wheelchair, so seeing that on a TV and it working was kind of like a major factor for me going, well, maybe I can do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty inspirational. Like his character is definitely inspirational, not only for intellectually challenged people, but as far as disabled people as well. Like definitely that character is definitely inspiring.
Oh yeah.
Like for just across the board, little kids, everyone, pretty much. Like why wouldn't you like that? Like why would you do that? Like that's
mine was Zach Gowen.
That's another good
Yeah.
one. Like that's another good one.
I mean, I'm sorry, if dude could wrestle with one leg, I can wrestle with a heart problem.
That's another.
I'm not sensitive enough.
That Gowan.
That's not helpful.
I know. It's because Brock Lesnar beat the hell out of him and then he got up and walked away. What do you want from me?
No, he hopped away. He can't walk. He hops.
But funny you should say that about the Messiah, about Eugene, because I swear to God, he looks more and more like Eugene every day.
Yeah, because Eugene's going bald too.
Well, that in the face, I mean, it's a face only a mother can love.
No, let's be honest. Eugene got some. So he got some girls, and he got Mae Young and stuff.
See, they bag on me, but let's look at what the Heartbreaker's done this whole thing. He gets his shots in, and then he hides in his little corner behind his little, like, blacked out screen.
Because he doesn't need to. I'm here.
Because
I don't. That's any better.
He's right. I don't need to say a word because we've got Andrew
like
here.
a 2-year-old.
What did you say? What? Something about a Tootsie Roll?
I said you're coloring a picture like a 2-year-old.
I'm not coloring right now.
You were.
Yeah, and they're gonna, and you know what? I'm gonna make money off these colorings because the Good Son is gonna have them at inclusion for people to buy.
I'm sorry, they can't get coupons for your tiny little coloring book.
These aren't tiny.
And here starts the paint drying.
Yeah. I won't even comment. Moving on, Principal. Why don't you ask him this question?
Actually, it should have been the Good Son's question.
Well,
yeah, Pat just asked one.
Yeah, Pat. Okay, yep. Then go, Good Son.
Oh fuck. Oh, actually, no. So you said you did the military boot camp match and stuff. What's one stipulation match you haven't done that you want to do?
I want to do a ladder match. I really want to do a ladder match. I haven't had an opportunity to do a ladder match.
Okay.
Want to do I've done a cage match. I did a War Games match.
Nice.
But that was a bucket list thing. Was the cage match, War Games match, obviously. But ladder match, I haven't hadn't had the opportunity. I've done a lot of like no disqualification matches, boot camp matches, things like that, tables matches, chairs. But no ladder match, and
I've done some weird matches too.
I want a ladder match, and I've been trying to push for a ladder match for a long time.
I wanted.
So
when did we tell her she could talk?
Well, then why don't I
again.
speak for Princess? Do you only want a ladder match just to push somebody off the damn ladder?
Yeah, that's all she wants.
I would too. Sounds like a great idea to me.
Was that Cheyenne that just said that?
Yes.
Oh,
No.
She wants to push someone off the ladder too. Oh,
She can help me do it.
oh no.
But now we've created a monster.
Okay.
And back to
anyway.
our normal programming.
Go ahead, go ahead.
So said a ladder match.
Oh yeah.
Like, so you talked about bucket list matches. So you kind of helped me into another question. Sorry, guys. What's some of your bucket list like places to wrestle? Like, I know normally most people are probably New Japan, but like if like even not just like normal places, like something like out of the norm.
NWA is really my bucket list spot right now.
Okay,
That's been a spot that I've had my eye on since they stood back up.
Makes sense.
Because I really, my grandpa wrestled for NWA a few times in the 70s. So I think it would be a cool thing, even if it was just like a dark match or
yeah,
something like that, or just something, however small. If it was under the NWA banner, I think that would be a great bucket list thing. To wrestle
for
somewhere,
sure.
to wrestle somewhere Grandpa wrestled. That would be cool. Georgia Championship Wrestling is another one, another bucket list place as well, which is not too far away from where I live, but getting there is kind of tough. So I've been trying to get there, and I'm going to work at it to try to get there. That's but those two places are the only two places that are left that Grandpa worked at. So to work at either one of those places, that would be cool.
No, makes sense. Like I said, I know most people are always saying New Japan or something like that, but I was like, because when people ask me that, I gave them the same answer. I wanted New Japan or something, but like company wise, I've always wanted to wrestle for JCW. I watched them back in the day, and just even hearing some people that have gone to like some of the shows and stuff, they just look like a fun show to work.
Yeah.
So that is kind of cool. Like, I like that you want to go like kind of out of the norm, but also like you want to, go where your grandpa was and stuff and lineage there. That's pretty cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely out of the norm, but that's always the dream. So
yeah,
we'll see if I get there. Hopefully I do. I'll keep working at it at least.
There you go. And like I said, it seems like Georgia's at least very possible as long as you keep grinding.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, it's not very far from where I live. It's just, having the timelines line up, them, so I mean, other than that, it's definitely a very big possibility.
Yeah.
Probably a better possibility than the NWA right now.
But you never know. I mean,
you definitely never know. So I mean, it's wrestling. All kinds of crazy things can happen.
Exactly. I mean, there's names out there that no one thought would ever make it. So
yeah, you just get spotted by the right person, and that's all she wrote.
Exactly.
All right, Pat, what do you got?
Why are you making me and Pat do all the work? Come on, Messiah. Thought you were supposed to be smart. Shouldn't you be better without these questions?
I am. I'm letting him have his moment. He doesn't get it very much. He lives with his mom, for God's sake.
At least I live with my mom and I in a group in a nursing home.
Hey, I just make this nursing home work, man.
Pat, I am so proud of you. That's the first time I've heard Pat snap back that quick, and I am proud of you for that. That was awesome.
Thank you.
He's learning.
Well, now that you guys got your date out of the way, do you have a question?
Who are your top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time?
Top 5. All right, no specific order because I don't even know if I could do that off the top of my head right now. No specific order, but yeah, top 5. Stone Cold Steve Austin's 1. Undertaker is number 2. Ric Flair would be 3. I would say probably. I guess maybe I'm trying to put them in order, but I don't really need to. I guess Grandpa would be in the top 5 as well, even though kind of really seldom haven't really watched him wrestle or anything. And then obviously number 5 would probably be Mankind or Mick Foley.
It's a good list.
Very good list.
No specific order because I don't know if I could list those in order.
Fair.
So before I ask my question, I think I'm going to give the Heartbreaker a chance to ask a question since he's been hiding this whole podcast.
No, he's been doing business for me. What do you think he's been doing? Come on.
Hey, I don't need to know what you guys do on your personal time. That's not my business.
It's about to be because he's reading contracts over to save your ass.
Well, actually, I am doing inclusion stuff, so go ahead and do the.
He's reading over the contract that gives me your power.
Again, we'll see. You got a little bit of confidence behind you, don't you?
Duh. There's a reason I have 2 belts.
Yeah, for now.
Okay.
Wow, that was a nice comeback. Okay, sure.
I don't have to. The proof's in my bag. I don't need to come back with anything. You want to come back? I'll leave it on your chin. What the hell?
No, I don't need any extra protein.
Sorry,
So-
when we're on here, we do get a little wild.
It's all right.
Okay, so let's do the other. Come on.
So, you said that you wanted to travel. What's the furthest you've gone to
For a show,
for a show?
I drive. Well, before my heart attack, obviously, I drove monthly out to the Midwest to Kansas, to Wichita, Kansas, from Southeast Georgia, about 18, 20-hour ride, I guess you could say, one way, for show. It's where my trainer's company is.
Okay.
It's where I learned to wrestle. My trainer owns a company out there. And you know, I kind of just never really, ever since I moved out here to Southeast Georgia, I never really shown away from that company. I still make the trip every month. Or used to.
It's your home.
Yeah, it's my home promotion pretty much. Heavy storylines, you know, that I'm involved in there, you know, things like that. So, you know, they're really invested in me there. Fan base, it's really big there. You know, that's where I got my start. So, you know, for the foreseeable future, you know, I don't see why I should, you know, not go out there as long as I can do it and it's feasible. But yeah, so that's the furthest I've traveled.
There you go.
And interesting, he said Southeast Georgia, boys.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
You know, Southeast Georgia, at least he's got taste in sports teams.
How do we know that?
You know, I mean, being from Georgia, you know, I mean, living out there, you know, I've got more respect for this man as it is right now.
Andrew, Pat, we might as well take a break. He's going to be talking about the Braves for the next, 2 hours.
Well, actually, Mr.
Come to find out he's not a Braves fan. That'd be the funniest thing in the world.
Mr. Tyler, it wasn't going to be a Braves comment. Congratulations to the Atlanta Falcons for probably getting the best quarterback in the draft this year.
You mean Kirk Cousins?
No, they got...
I know. I had to be a smart ass.
So, anyways, move on with the show.
All right, good son. What do you got?
So Pat asked you your top 5 favorite wrestlers. What is your Mount Rushmore of wrestling, though? Like, not top 5s, not your favorites, but when you think of wrestling, like if you were to explain it to people, who would be the first 4 you always name?
So if I'm introducing, all right. Wow, hold on, you gotta give me a second on that one. Because that's gonna make me think for a second. Because that Mount Rushmore, I need to stay prepared and write these down. Mount Rushmore favorite top 5s. Bruno Sammartino would be on that Mount Rushmore for sure, because that dude was the longest reigning champion ever. It seemed like that guy never did not hold a belt for ever. Yeah. So he was really good. Obviously,
I'm still waiting.
Ric Flair would probably be up there as well. I got to give it to him because he's probably one of my favorites of all time. As well. Then you got to move into the Attitude Era with Austin. I think he revolutionized, wrestling as well in the '90s, late '90s, early 2000s. I don't know. I think that's really. I don't know. I think I'm going to come up with 3 right now, I guess, on the Mount Rushmore top 3, I guess.
So, yeah, I would agree with you. Definitely, Bruno, you always think about him. Flair. I would say Taker.
Yeah, I could see that, I guess. I really could see that. I think a lot of people, don't really think about Taker when it comes to greatness, but he had a lot of great. His whole persona was great, and to me, that's what drew me into him as well. But Austin, on the other hand, I don't know. It's kind of a toss up between both of them.
That's what. Yeah, it's all for me. Like, yeah, I would. It's always between Taker and Austin. Because, like, if you think of Attitude Era, you always think Austin versus McMahon or Austin versus Rock, but then there was always the Takers. And, like, when you really think about Taker, you mainly think Mania, though.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Of course, there's John Cena, he could be another. I feel like that Mount Rushmore is always changing, but there's always Bruno and Ric Flair are always the two that, like, are a mainstay because they're the two you think about the most. Longest reigning and most title reigns. You really think about those two.
Yeah. At least I do, anyways. Cause
Yeah.
I can't downplay that Bruno title reign.
Yeah, same. You can.
And I can't downplay what Flair did too as well. I mean, he pretty much put pro wrestling on his back for years.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree with you there. That's why I say, yeah, those two definitely are always, when you think about it, it's the other two can always be interchanging. Because it also depends on the person you're talking to too, because there might be someone who's never heard of, Hogan, but they know John Cena very well, or because they're younger.
Yeah, exactly. They know Cena. They know Randy Orton.
Well, and it could be where they live too, because people in like the Carolinas, they're always going to say Flair above San Martino because that's Ric Flair country. So.
Yeah, they'll always say Flair, or at least some variation.
If they're really big, only tag team wrestlers, then they of course say the Hardys.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah.
But all right.
See, I would have thrown Piper and Andre the Giant on that Mount Rushmore.
Yes,
okay.
I don't disagree. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I don't disagree with that either.
Yeah, Andre's another one.
But I don't disagree with Piper. But again, Pat, yours is a little bit jaded, and so would mine be because he was from the Northwest, which is where we live. So I mean, that kind of makes sense of why you would say that right away.
Yeah.
See, I only got one Wisconsin boy, and he really, you don't think about him a lot, sadly.
Yeah, true. So, all right, Pat, what you got?
All righty. I'm going to throw a dinger at you.
Uh-oh.
Out of the entire Midnight Express, who is the most underrated member?
Bobby Eaton.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful Bobby Eaton. Like, I will die on that hill. Like, I will die on that hill. I think he didn't get the run. Like, he didn't really get the credit he deserved. Matter of fact,
I totally agree.
Matter of fact, I just read something the other day about this man, beautiful Bobby Eaton. During Goldberg's amazing, 180 whatever streak, they were in Huntsville. They were in Huntsville, Alabama, I think, or something like that. And Goldberg wanted to lose in a dark match against Bobby Eaton.
Yeah,
to put him over, and
it's because it was his hometown.
Screw the streak. Like, I'm gonna put beautiful Bobby Eaton over. Obviously, WCW shut it down and was like, no. But for Goldberg to say that speaks volumes about how beautiful Bobby Eaton and his not really underratedness. Well, I guess he was underrated, but the respect that he brought.
Oh yeah,
as well.
He earned a lot of respect from people.
And the fact that he could do any character. I mean, who thought that a guy from Alabama, no offense to anybody from Alabama, could do a British, guy with William Regal?
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. That's
like,
cool
he did it so well that I almost actually believed he was from Britain.
Where do you think the Southern Draw came from?
That's cool that you brought that up because I just read that earlier on a site. It was an interview that Goldberg had done, and he said he wanted to put Eaton over in a dark match during his streak, and WCW was like, nope.
Even though
can't do that.
Even though if it's a dark match, no one's gonna actually know.
Yeah,
that's the fucked up part. It's like you could have let him do it.
Yeah.
That was about the same time.
So mine's not going to be so much a question, but kind of a statement and an idea. If you could ever make it out to like the state of Washington, your character that you have would go over like gangbusters over here.
We already got a team that would work well with him anyways.
Exactly.
We could literally make an easy faction.
Because there's a lot of militaries,
Oh yeah.
things in this area. So with you doing that type of character would be amazing.
Oh yeah, you got Fort Lewis up there.
Fort Sumter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what's good about my character is it can kind of go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I can kind of go anywhere, places that I've never been, places that nobody knows who I am, places that when I meet the promoter or the booker, it's the first time I've ever met this man or any of the wrestlers in that locker room, and I can just get over. Like I just walk out, and all of a sudden the USA chants start. Like it's just one of those things.
Yeah, and it's like the good son said, in Inclusion, which is the promotion that the Heartbreaker and I own, we already have a faction that if you came down, you would fit perfectly into. So
nice.
Well, are they a faction or just a team right now?
I corrected myself. I said a tag team.
And way to only say that about you and Tony there.
You're not an owner yet. You're not gonna take my power. So
I wasn't saying owner. I was saying, and I wasn't talking about me, you jackwagon.
We're all inclusion there, Mr. Nos.
Man, I swear to God, every time I say something today, it's like feeding frenzy on me. So,
well, you forgot about Pat. Come on.
Oh,
Are you just mad that he got one up on you today?
Every chicken needs a nut.
I don't think that's how that
You're
goes.
not looking like a turtle.
What?
No,
You're
every
just mad
chicken needs
because
a
I'm
nut.
laying down and I still look better than you, and I'm still doing a better job than you're doing.
All right, come on. This isn't about you guys. Let's ask some questions.
All right, good son. What do you got?
Who, me?
No, the Easter Bunny. What do you got?
I didn't hear who he said. That's why I was asking. Wait, didn't I just ask a question?
No, I asked the question. I made the
No,
statement.
you
about
made a
what?
statement.
Yeah. Do you actually have to legit actually ask a question, Messiah?
I'm sorry, I didn't know there was rules of my own podcast.
There is now.
Fine. So if you could pick a dream tag team partner, who would it be and why? Are you guys happy now?
I'm not gonna lie, I would like to do an American type tag team with freaking Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Heck
That would be fun.
I mean, I think that would be cool.
In his prime, though, right?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, just any Jim Duggan, I guess. Oh, I don't know.
I mean, you'd be doing a lot of the work.
That's fine with me. I'll take the heat. I don't care.
There you go.
Take the hot tag. I'm good. But yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I mean, if I could bring Del Wilkes back, it'd be the Patriot as well.
Oh, there you go.
I would run a tag team with him as well if he was still alive. But Hacksaw Jim Duggan, that'd be pretty cool. I think.
I think that'd be a good one for you. That'd be fun. Don't bring back Jack Swagger's Eagle.
No, I'm good with that. No we to people.
Yeah.
So, good son. Now, if you're done telling me how to ask or answer a question, would you mind asking one of your own, please?
Hey, at least we're having fun. Yeah. So, well, you asked the tag team. I'm just trying to remember everything we've asked. What's one match that you would like you would be really reluctant to do? Like one match that is kind of like an iffy for you.
Probably a match where I have to bleed, I guess.
Okay.
Probably a match where it calls for me to bleed.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, the hard way, that's different, but purposely doing it, that's I've done it once in my career. But it's like the way I explain it to people when they ask me about bleeding. I tell them if the story calls for it, then that's what will happen.
Fair.
But if it doesn't make sense, then I'm not going to do it. Because at the same time, I don't really necessarily know how my body and my mind is going to react with my face full of blood, and I don't know if that military switch is going to flip.
Ooh, yeah.
Or something like that. So, thankfully when we did it, the only time I've ever bled, and it was a lot. Thankfully nothing crazy went down, it's my PTSD or anything like that. But that's an iffy for me, because if the story calls for it and it's something necessary that needs to happen to further the story, and to get the fans involved and entertained and engaged and all that, then of course I'll do it. But as far as like doing it just to do it, then it's, that's definitely out of the question.
No, that's fair. I completely agree. I think blood is definitely only on the bias if it helps anything. If you're just bleeding to bleed, you don't need to do it. I agree with you there.
Yeah, at least for me, anyways, from my standpoint,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense, for me.
No, I feel that, and like you said too, it's yeah. I definitely understand with your military background too. I wouldn't want to like trigger something that does if you don't need to, don't do it, type of thing.
Yeah, we were hesitant to do it because we were setting up a first blood match. I was ending a feud with a faction. So I had taken out the other two members of the faction, and then I got to the head guy, and we were going to duke it out in a first blood match. But first, they wanted to bust me open first, so that I could challenge for first blood. You know what I mean? So the promoter was like, "Hey, what do you feel about bleeding? Do you feel okay about it?" And it's the first time I'd ever done it. Storyline obviously called for it. So I was all in. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's see what happens. And as long as it calls for it and it furthers everything, then I'm all for it.
Yeah. No, that's fair. No, I completely agree with you there. Because I've seen, even back in the day, there was times where someone bled and you're like, why? What was the point of that? Didn't do anything for the story.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with you.
And I love the fact that you've said multiple times on this interview that, like, if the story makes sense, do it. Because I think there's a lot of workers nowadays that, like, they just want to do something because, maybe it sounds like a cool idea, but it doesn't always make sense to the story.
And that's how I was taught. I was taught, make it make sense. Treat it as a shoot, but make it make sense. I have people telling me all kinds of ideas. Hey, I want to do this. I want to do that. All right, that's fine. We can try that. We can try this, but you gotta sell it to me. You gotta show me how it's gonna make sense in our match. Like, you gotta make it make sense, because if it doesn't make sense to me, it's not gonna make sense to them.
No, exactly.
And if it doesn't make sense to them, then they're gonna scratch their head and be like, what's going on here? I'm all about storytelling. I'm very old school and traditional when it comes to wrestling. I am a storyteller through and through. So whatever it calls for, I'll try to tell a story as much as I can.
Absolutely.
I wish Mom could do that.
All right, Pat, what do you got?
If you could book a dream match, past and present, who would it be and who would be involved?
I would have really liked to have seen Owen versus Brett too.
Yes.
I would have really liked to have seen that, because the first one was really good. And, there was a lot of guys that Owen didn't get to work, before he died, obviously. And there was just so many potential opportunities for him to wrestle, especially if you look at that crop of wrestlers that came in right after the Attitude Era, like the Roots of Progression Era, the Cenas, the Batistas. Like, there were so many great matchups right there that, imagine if Owen Hart was still alive, how many great matchups we would have gotten, so, definitely Owen Brett 2 is something I would have loved to have seen again.
I would have loved to have seen, in his prime, Valentine against Bryan Danielson.
That would have been pretty good.
Yeah.
That would have been good.
So, what are some of, like, your future goals for?
So, I had a heart attack in March, beginning of March. I had a massive heart attack while putting together my kid's bed. It was just one of those things that just happened out of nowhere. Wound up having single bypass surgery. Here we are, almost the beginning of May. Pretty sure I'm 6 weeks post-surgery, I believe. My goals for the future is just to get, recover some more. I think I have about, want to say 2 solid months of recovery still ahead of me before I even think about stepping inside the ring again. with a month of that being, gym, getting my stuff back up in the gym, all that good stuff, getting back into shape, because I lost a lot of weight, obviously, and a lot of muscle mass being out and not being able to do much, since the heart attack. But a lot of goals. I have a lot of goals that, I have, want to get back in shape, want to get back in the ring shape, and then just want to get back out there and try to wrestle, as much as I can, because this heart attack was almost the end. It was almost, the end of my career. And, now I'm just going to not treat any opportunity or I'm not going to take any opportunity for granted. So, the goals that I got is to recover and to wrestle and entertain as many fans as possible until it's time for me to hang it up.
I have a follow-up to that question, and it's if you're okay with answering it. Mental health is a big topic, in wrestling and in life in general right now. So, like, after your heart attack, what's that been like mentally? You know what I mean? When you're used to being a wrestler, and
it's a great question. So mentally, obviously, wrestling is my escape. All right. Obviously, I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder from combat, from the Army. And wrestling was my escape, or is my escape, I guess you could say. It's where I can just, screw the real world for a few minutes. You know what I'm saying? So I can it kind of is my outlet, where all that aggression, all that pent up anger, all that stuff goes. And, now that it's gone, I'm finding myself trapped and, kind of useless. I feel like I don't have a purpose right now. Obviously I do to recover, because wrestling will always be there. I keep telling myself that. Everyone keeps telling me that wrestling's always going to be there. But right now I kind of just feel like I have no purpose, so it has taken a toll on my mental health, but I've been doing a lot of things to keep me busy, for wrestling. For example, coming on your podcast and talking about wrestling, that keeps my mind at ease. It keeps me in the professional wrestling world, even though I'm on the sidelines, if that makes sense.
it
makes
does.
perfect sense.
And on a personal note, I want to say, to me, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing right now by telling your story and by getting it out there to people. So I want to say thank you for that.
No, I appreciate it, and that's what I can do, because like I said, my mental health has deteriorated since my heart attack because I don't have wrestling. So, if you go on my Facebook page, I post like 4 and 5 posts a day now, because I want to make sure that I'm staying in wrestling. I want to make sure that I, still have a purpose, because like I said, wrestling will be there when I come back. I already got companies ready for me to return. And now I just got to recover and, somehow try to, stay with wrestling, from a sideline standpoint.
Absolutely. All right, good son. What do you got?
Nothing. I got nothing.
All right, Pat, what do you got?
I don't got nothing, but I do got something I want to say is thank you for your service.
Thank you. I appreciate
that.
Because I keep Army right in my heart, because my dad was a vet.
Well, thank him for his service, and thank you for that too as well. The family members are just as important.
Oh yeah.
Well.
Oh, I know he appreciates it.
Yeah. And I mean, the families are just as important as well, because without the support of the families, we wouldn't be able to do what we did, or, you know what I mean?
And that, I'm not thinking just you, I'm thinking all of the armed services.
Oh yeah, me too. Of course. I do it every time. Every time I go to the ring, I do a little post thing that thanks everybody, past, present, future, because without their sacrifice, we wouldn't be able to enjoy things like pro wrestling.
Exactly.
So I got to give that love to them.
And I think before we set it up to the Heartbreaker to close this out, I want to, and I'm sure he'd be okay if I said this, and if not, I'll hear about it later. But when you get healthy and you're back in the ring, if we can figure out a way to get you out to Washington, I would be honored to have you included.
Of course. If we can make it work, I'm open. If we can make it work, line it up, whatever we can do, we can definitely try to make that work.
Listen.
I'm not.
All right.
Hold on. Good son, that's not her. That's somebody out in the hallway.
Okay, I'm just like, am I going insane, or I know I'm hearing whistling? I mean, I know
Well,
I'm nuts, but
it's somebody in Nathan's hallway, but yeah. Anyways,
okay. Sorry, it's just it was. I've been hearing it for like the last 5 minutes. So I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
okay. Anyways, we'll get offline here and we can chat a little bit more. But thank you, Johnny, for coming on tonight. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure. Pat Privilege is always good, son. I always enjoy having time with you. Messiah, whatever.
Maybe we'll be nice to you one day.
But until next time, we will see you guys when we do one of these again.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Thank you
Good
all.
night,
Thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you very much.
Good night, guys.
Rick.